something is seriously wrong with the system. And I think that they should put their hands together, and so that the Nigerian public should not form any impression based on that. And they should curtail their utterances, and when they are talking, they should give very due respect to our elected presidents and members of the other organs of government.
All right, then, so Richard Wanko is a legal practitioner and of the Crusade for Justice. Thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
Well, back in just a moment here. Please join us again.
Some say it's a sharp pain. Some might even say it's a shocking pain. And it's usually caused by hot, cold drinks. It definitely affects the quality of life. The treatment for tooth sensitivity can be very simple. Brushing with Sensodyne twice daily will give you long-lasting protection from tooth sensitivity. Sensodyne works inside the tooth and it soothes the nerve, and then the patient will have a relief of their pain. Sensodyne can be used every day. You don't have to use another toothpaste. For me to have a toothpaste that solves that problem so simply is what I like about Sensodyne.
Those of us who live in Nigeria know that maybe it's a work in progress. At the end of the day, there might really be a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But today, I'm afraid I can't see that optimism yet.
Olu Martins joins us now, a public affairs analyst, and thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you.
You're here, so.
Thank you for having me.
Well, let's focus on this NGF matter, because, I mean, that was what Mr. Wanko ended up commenting on. But, of course, it's everywhere now, including the images. But perhaps you must have seen those images. So when you saw it and you also think back at what had been said by both parties about that election, what were your conclusions?
Ordinarily, I wouldn't have bothered much about the going-ons in the NGF and the shenanigan of our present-day politician. I say so because very clearly is that the bulk of politicians in this country, especially those who hold power at different levels, from the federal government to the state to the local government, have not been very concerned about the people. So for all I care, they could have gone in there with Uzis and submachine guns and blown each other's head up. And if they had come out and we had heard no governor came out, I'm sure that, or no governor came out alive, I'm sure that Nigerians would have been celebrating. I say so against the backdrop that if you look at the 36 states, for instance, I live in Edo State, and there are several people who live in other states. You're asking yourself, what has transpired in your state? Except for a pocket of states, maybe Lagos as a litmus, as a salutary pointer to performance, and then my Edo State, and then one or two other states. I don't hold brief for any governor. But when I saw it, it looked like a story of Alibaba and the 40 thieves. In which case now, you have the president and 36 personalities, as the case may be. I think it's a shame. I think it's an embarrassment that 36 people cannot agree on who will preside over their affairs. At any rate, it was also a conglomeration, as it were, of ineptitude. Like I said, how many governors can you say are performing creditably well? So if two wrongs don't make it right, and then you put 36 wrongs, so to speak, or at least maybe like 20 wrongs in a room. What has been demonstrated to our populace is the fact that, one, the bulk of our leadership don't have the prerequisite capacity and sagacity to preside over their state. And if they have not done creditably well at their state, you will wonder what will come out when 36 of them sit together. It's not about service. It's not about the people. It's about aggrandizement. It's about pride. It's about showmanship. I think that it's an embarrassment that fathers, grandfathers, and great-grandfathers in certain instances cannot come out of an election. Take, for instance, Al Gore. In the case of George Bush and Al Gore, the state of California was in hot dispute. And because the man felt ab initio that governance and leadership was about service to the people, he felt that the interest of America should be taken far above his personal interest. What did he do? He pulled back and said, you know what, George Bush, you can go ahead and be president. And the man never came back again to contest for that presidency. So that's what I would have thought would have happened. I thought somebody would have said, you know what, in the interest of the greater populace of this country, let this thing go this way. The figures are very clear.
Yeah, and on that premise, that's why some people say they kind of seem shocked, because they think it doesn't even amount or compare to what the Al Gore scenario which you gave, because in this case, they all got in for an election. Of course, you have to do your normal politics, like it's politics. You have to do some of those things. And then at the end of the day, it was orderly. Votes were cast. A winner was announced, only for people to come out and they're saying something completely different. So you will have some of them there who will be shocked and embarrassed, saying, look, on what grounds would you be asking us to come do A, B, C, D, or E when you were part of a peaceful process? You haven't seen the video.
Let's back up a bit, Chamberlain. I think it was I listened to the defense, or to the seeming defense of Dr. Olusegun Mimiko of Ondo State. And I felt completely embarrassed, because Dr. Mimiko is our neighbor in Edo State. And I respect him. But I expected a more sagacious postulation or prognostication on that matter. And the man said that, for instance, they should ask Amechi how somebody who has an interest can preside over an election. And I said, for goodness sake, who presides over an election in this country? Does the president resign for him to say, okay, I want to step aside so that somebody else can be president in the interim, and then you conduct the election? When local government elections are conducted, who presides over it? Your party as governor has an interest. You preside over that election. When he was recontested, did he step aside as governor? My brother, it's a clear case of acquiescence. For instance, if you had 19 governors who had lined up behind John Ajang, and you had gone in for an election, my expectations would have been, you would have said, look, we already have 19 governors. So there's no need to go in for an election. And if you did decide to go in for an election, I would have thought you would have adopted in the list option A4 to say, you know what, okay, Amechi stand this way. Jang stand this way. If you are for Amechi, come this way. If you are for Jang, come this way. But the men agreed to go into an election because they thought that they had a watertight arrangement in which case they were expecting loyalty. So you went in there, you agreed to all of the things. I saw Udwagan, whilst they were counting it. You know, in Latin we say, the res ipsa loquitur. The facts speak for themselves. That some people will now come out and say, you know what, I want to declare myself as chairman of the Governors Forum. It's a danger to the future of elections in this country. What it means is that, for instance, somebody can come and say, the elections were inconclusive. So therefore, I want to declare myself as a president. What it means is that somebody in a state can say, the elections in my state were inconclusive. So I want to declare myself as governor of that state. In which case, we're heading systematically towards a civil war. This is what Sosteni says, sir. Let me just quickly quote a great philosopher. The man said, in a land where the law is supreme, the best of citizens hold sway and preside over the distribution of our common patrimony. But in a land where the law is not supreme, he said, what we have is systematic monarchy, where a few hold power and administer such discretionally. So I'm not holding brief for any governor. But I'm saying that It is about a process. I don't care who emerges at the end of the process. But if a process is seen to have passed through all of the stages, even if a